Hey folks, Eric to the Whatever Guy, because it really is whatever for me. Do you folks want to know about this stinky smell that's going on with the Alabama medical cannabis cartel? You guys stick around, man, and we'll talk about that. As you guys know, man, my name's Eric, and with Whatever Guy, and I usually shoot videos a couple days a week, basically keeping you guys updated in the world Delta 8, Delta 9, Delta 10, hemp cannabis, just what's going on in our realm. And having said that, man, sitting here bullshitting around on an early Monday morning, getting ready here to talk about this really crazy situation going on with the Alabama medical cannabis cartel. As you guys know, man, I have shot quite a few videos on this, and we are moving into a position now where the judge has issued a temporary restraining order, and they are going to have a permanent restraining order hearing on the 24th. They were supposed to have it on the 24th. Now that has been moved off to the 28th. I told you guys in the last video or the previous video prior to that that they were in talks. They're in conversations. AMC lawyers and the lawyers for the applicants are basically in conversation, and they were supposed to get together, according to Judge Anderson, and come to some sort of agreement on what type of evidence that they were going to allow the AMCC to bring forward. Obviously, the applicants want all the information they're asking for. The AMCC does not want to give up any information. And we fall forward into a position now where this article basically covers a social equity license that was issued in the first two rounds. But then we fall forward in the third round and they issued truly the license. We talked about that in the last video about how the weird situation was in the way that they nominated that social equity license. It's a crazy situation. And like I said before, like, is that the only like social equity license we could find in the state of Alabama? Like, this is an example of one that we could have picked. Like, this guy was issued a license in the first two rounds. He's already paid his $50,000 fee. And here he's fall forward to a position where in the third round, we don't have any licenses. And I've already told you guys, I basically staked my reputation on this, that they are going to void all these licenses once again. That is basically what the lawyers for the applicants are driving towards. They want to disband the AMCC. They want to get to a position where they can force it up in the legislature. And then obviously we can get some sort of open markets and possibly a chance to get medical marijuana up on the shelf. As it stands, man, there's 30 other states have done this. 30 other states. Like, we could have learned from them. We could have taken the mistakes they made, and we have not made those mistakes. But we have traveled down a road now that I don't think there's any coming back from. Like, we have literally traveled down a road that we've literally got the AMCC in a crossfire. There's lawsuits on both sides of it, and there's just no end in sight that I can see. And at some point, even I am starting to get confused about all the stuff that is going on with this medical marijuana program. So we're going to flip over here to an article over here at Politico. This is an article was actually brought forward to me by, I believe, Marty Shelper. I saw Antoine Mordecan had posted or commented on this article. So we're going to talk about this just a little bit. It says, "It doesn't smell right. Alabama's medical marijuana debacle continues." And I wonder if they're watching my videos, because like I said, I'm the only one calling it a debacle. Alabama's medical marijuana program has been put on hold again by the courts, the latest in a string of delays for a program that originally hoped to launch sales by the end of the year. And the Alabama Medical Cannabis Commission's attempt to overcome delays due to litigation have seemingly made things worse. It's like I said, guys, it's like they basically got those commissioners to throw out the scores, and then basically now they got a TRO because they threw out the scores. So like, it doesn't really matter which way the EMCC turns at this point. Like, they started this off on the wrong leg, and they have basically brought this through the whole way, and they're still walking on that one leg. Like, there is no way that they should have issued the licenses the first time, the second time, or the third time. And we're going to find that out here pretty soon. I would imagine on the 28th, and we're going to, obviously we're going to talk about that just a little bit more. Over the last 7 months, the agency has twice awarded licenses only to rescind them after getting sued by losing applicants. Then in December, they allocated licenses for a third time. That spurred even more litigation. The end result, it's still unclear. It's still unclear when patients may be able to enroll in the medical program nearly 3 years after lawmakers passed legislation establishing it. Alabama is a complete standout, said Brian Vincente, a Colorado-based attorney working with veteran Black Alabama horticulturist Oliver Washington IV, whose company, Southeast Cannabis, was awarded a license in the first two rounds, but not the third. Like, come on, guys. Like, this is a native Black individual from the state of Alabama that obviously was going for that vertically integrated license. Come on, like, you're telling me that Trulieve was the only company that we could find in the state of Alabama? Like, this guy's from Alabama. He's based in in Alabama. He's an Alabama horticulturist, and we gave a license to Trulieve that's based out of Florida, that's basically a multi-state operator. We already understand why that is happening because, again, obviously the lawyers for the AMCC wanted that money on their side, fighting for their cause, not against them, because obviously if that Trulieve money was on the other side, we would never see an end to this. And as it stands right now, I don't think we're going to see an end to this anytime soon. Normally, states have a well thought out programs that they will defend and implement. Here, they implemented a well thought out program but didn't defend it. Alabama made waves when it passed a medical marijuana legalization bill through the legislature in 2021, a rarity in a Republically dominated state. The legalization set up by a program with limited licenses and a merit-based scoring process. Similar programs in other states have proven vulnerable to delays and legal challenges from companies that lost out on licenses. Alabama tried to avoid that fate by requiring licenses to be awarded through a blind scoring process using an impartial numerical process. When Alabama first legalized medical marijuana, it was exciting to see a new red state in the South. Said Jesse Alderman, co-chair of Foley Hoag's cannabis practice, whose team has worked on 2 Alabama cannabis applications. At this point, how could you say anything but about the program other than disaffection and disenchantment? Southeast Cannabis Company filed a lawsuit against the agency this month in hopes of getting the AMCC to issue the license Washington was originally awarded back in June, joining 10 other cannabis companies challenging the third round of licensings in state court. Southeast Cannabis Company paid a $50,000 license fee to the commission at the time and still hasn't received its license. It just doesn't smell right. Said Patrick Dungan, another attorney for Washington. Dungan argues that the process used by commissioners in the third licensing round yielded inconsistent results and completely arbitrary rankings. You can't decide now that the game is over that you want to change the rules and flip the scoreboard to 0-0 and replay the fourth quarter with new rules. The 10 other companies suing over the third round of licensing also take issue with what they say is arbitrary nature of the latest allocations. They point out that the first 2 rounds of licensing decisions relied on third-party blind scores from the University of South Alabama. That was intended to guard against misconduct and even corruption that has happened within similar programs in other jurisdictions. Come on, guys. Now, we already understand that there was a lot of crazy shit going on with the University of South Alabama scoring system. We know that there were people that were purposely put on the board. We know that there were people that were purposely given inside tracks to become scorers on this University of South Alabama scoring system we talked about. And we also know that Stephen Stokes, who sat on the board of the Alabama Medical Cannabis Commission, also sat on the board of the University of South Alabama, and that is why Stephen Stokes is gone. And we are hoping at some point to get rid of the last vestiges of what Stephen Stokes did to this commission, because we are still basically dealing with this crap that he created. Because as I've said many times before, prior to the second awarding of the licenses, Lori Skelton put in a motion to have a conversation with these applicants where the AMCC commissioners could sit down and speak to these folks and find out how ready they were. Stephen Stokes shot that motion down and would not allow those commissioners to speak to them. And now we have a situation where we're falling forward and everybody is violating the Open Meetings Act because they are conducting all these talks behind closed doors, and nobody has an idea of exactly what the commissioners were thinking. And at this point in the game, you have to think that some of the commissioners did violate that restraining or that order by not speaking to them, by speaking to people, because obviously, how would they even know who to vote for? Like, how is it that we got some of those commissioners that voted some of these companies extremely high and some of these commissioners that voted them extremely low? I want to know why. I want to know why one commissioner would rank them would low and 5 or 6 commissioners would rank them extremely high. Like, I want to know why that process went out the way it did. But facing litigations and delays after the second round of licensing, the commission agreed to a settlement in November that threw out the scores from the first 2 rounds and passed emergency rules to guide its third round of licensing. The emergency rules allowed each applicant to make a presentation before regulators, a process Duggan described as a dog and pony show. A spokesman for the AMCC declined to comment on pending litigation. The court has granted temporary restraining orders preventing the commission from issuing licenses for dispensary and vertically integrated cannabis businesses. The commission is now pushing back in court on the temporary restraining order and asking the court to deny the plaintiff's motion for a more permanent preliminary injunction. On Saturday, the court delayed a hearing for the preliminary injunction from January 24th to February 28th. It's unclear what the timeline will be for this litigation when the regulators will be able to move forward with the issuing of medical cannabis licenses. It all depends on the outcome of the February 28th hearing, and Duggan and Dungan, who also expects whatever decision the court makes to be appealed. Since only dispensaries and vertically integrated cannabis businesses are suing over the third round, it could create another bewildering problem for a fledgling market. Producers making cannabis products with no retailers to actually get them out to patients. Guys, this is a crazy situation. Like we are sitting here looking at a social equity applicant that obviously is tied to Antoine Mordecan, who is a social equity applicant also, that should have got a license. Like this guy should have got a license long before Trulieve was ever allowed to become in the game. And now we fall forward into a position where you got to wonder, like I said, did they give this license to Trulieve simply because they didn't want that money on the other side fighting against them? And that seems like what the case is right here, because like I said, come on, like, are you telling me that the Trulieve was the only social equity license we could find in the integrator space? Like, that's not possible, because we've got one right here, Mr. Oliver, that was very well set up, that was given a license in the first 2 rounds, paid his $50,000 fee, obviously has everything in place ready to go, and then he was denied a license in the third round for Trulieve. Like a company that's based in Florida that is basically tossing money around like it's air. Like they are basically driving the legalization process in the state of Florida. And now we have allowed Trulieve to come in here and drive the legalization process in the state of Alabama. All right, folks, whatever got signing off, and I'll talk to you guys later, man. Love it. See ya.